I'm Bob Work. I have the great honor and good fortune to be the Chief Executive Officer of the Center for New American Security. And we welcome you tonight to discuss a task force that just talked about energy rush. Hopefully you all got a copy of the report about shale production and what it means for the United States and its national security implications over a long period of time.
We're releasing this report entitled Energy Rush, which is the product of months of work and a task force that the Center for New American Security put together to look at the geopolitical and national security implications of the unconventional energy boom in the United States. And this takes place against this backdrop of some really amazing changes in the energy profile of the United States, and others will fill in, but I'll just cite just a couple of very quick figures. American natural gas production, for example, has increased by 20% just in the last 5 years. 2012 saw the largest annual increase in oil production in U.S. history. And estimates for U.S. energy reserves in the ground have grown in the past 5 years by 41% for oil and 37% for gas. And the U.S. is projected to surpass Saudi Arabia as the world's biggest oil producer in 2015.
This report's a real contribution, and I think Liz and the team have really done a very good job on this because we really are at the front end of understanding this. That's the first thing. Second is that we need to be careful of predictions here. When we came into office, the Obama administration came into office in 2008, the current state of analysis was that in fact that we would need twice as much natural gas imported 5 years from then than we had at that point. And of course now we're the largest producer of natural gas in the world. So we need to be aware of predictions here and be a little humble about our ability to predict with great precision here. But I do think that given the dramatic changes, so there are a few geopolitical points that can be made, I think, with some degree of certainty. One is obviously there's a direct economic impact of the changes in our energy future. There really is a direct strengthening of the U.S. economic situation across a number of dimensions. And there's some disagreement in the literature on this and the analysis among different people on exactly what the scope of the impact is, but everybody agrees it's a positive impact on the American economic situation. Greater investment, lower energy costs for Americans. Today, the price of natural gas in America today is substantially less than any place else in the world. It's 3 times more expensive in Europe and maybe 5 to 7 times more expensive in Asia at this point.
My name is Liz Rosenberg, and I'm the Director of the Energy, Environment, and Security Program at CNAS. And I'm joined here with the co-chairs of our Task Force on Unconventional Energy and U.S. National Security that CNAS convened a year ago to look at some of the more pressing geopolitical considerations associated with the unconventional or shale energy boom in the United States.
I'd like to, in my time, highlight 3 core points relevant to energy diplomacy that were underscored in the report and that I think we all embraced. And then take a few minutes and maybe underscore some of the points that the former National Security Advisor, Tom Donilon, had said, because this whole issue is quite important for national security. And he mentioned some areas, and I'd like to add a bit to why it's important. But let me mention the 3 key areas. First, the CNAS report on this energy boom, I think an energy rush, an alert to policymakers, and also truly a call to action in dealing with what really constitutes a very changed energy landscape. And what I think was significant in the report for policymakers, it details quite readily the opportunities and the challenges.
But the shale gas boom started. More production of oil and natural gas. And what did that cause? In my judgment, shale gas has been good for this country because, one, it reduces greenhouse gas emissions. It does. The statistics vary, but it significantly does. Number 2, it creates jobs. I've seen a study of up to 2.1 million jobs. It helps our economy, exports. I think you can see a number of countries around the world very interested in what the shale gas explosion means for us and for them. But what I think is essential is that we look at what is the downside. The downside is what is the effect going to be on climate change? There is an effect. And so we have to balance our energy policy and recognize that while we develop shale gas, let us not forget the other advances that have happened in American energy in the last few years. A lot of it citizens, counties, cities, states, not necessarily just the government, but the fuel standards of the president helped enormously. The development of renewable energy, solar and wind, especially right now, they're moving in a very positive direction. The energy efficiency that communities, schools do, all of that combined with shale gas has possibly made us the major producer of oil and natural gas, and maybe on the path to energy self-sufficiency. Everybody says 2020, 2025, whatever. But it's put us in a very comfortable position on energy.
You and I remember, it was, I think, in the 79, 80 of the oil embargoes. And the halls of the Congress, I'd only been there 18 months. The halls of the Congress were jammed with people taking their frustration out on us because the gas lines at the gas pump. And I learned a lesson early on. That gas pump and the prices and the impact on our economy and the families that rely on that gas pump is essential. Now we come along to this shale boom. I don't associate myself with the boom word. I like to think that we should, as we were taught in the Navy when I was a 17-year-old sailor, steady as she goes, firm hand on the tiller. The wind is going to shift on you, but trim those sails as you go. So we should accept this wonderful advancement in technology, as all three of us have joined here, with a degree of modesty, and don't practice in-your-face politics in the international community, and particularly as it relates to the national security. The sea lanes of the world are the arteries by which our energy flows. The air lanes, the trade. And it's up to the armed forces of the United States working together in partnership with the other nations to keep the measure of safety that's vital to the success of the transfer of goods, the transfer of energy, and trade and commerce and our own personal safety.